Друзі, привіт! Сьогодні у нас чергове інтерв'ю. Завдяки Андрію Дмитренко ми сьогодні спілкуємося з Джейсоном Річчі. Андрій, тобі слово.
Jason, it's so nice to see you here on our YouTube channel for our Ukrainian harmonica community, and we are so happy to see you, and we are so glad that you gave this opportunity to hear from you. How have you been recently? We know that you had a tour. Can you tell us?
Oh,
Oh,
no
microphone
sound.
muted.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been great. Really busy and very grateful to be busy. Uh, I've been home now for a little while, for 7 or 8 days, and have been getting some rest and taking care of things around the house here in New Orleans. And but I'm very very happy to be here with you guys today, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. First
Thank
question,
you.
Jason. Many people use music, especially harmonica, to stay strong. How has music helped you in hard times? What do you think about music during pain and danger?
It's a good question. I know that so many of you guys are going through that now on a level that I can't even imagine. And I've experienced a lot of things in my life. A lot of the hardship that I've been through is of my own doing. So what you guys are experiencing is a completely different thing. Music can be a wonderful distraction from problems, but it can also be something that we use to express beauty that comes from something negative. And that's the most beautiful thing about art, is that we can take something that people perceive as bad or negative, and experience that maybe something that we brought on ourselves, or something that happened to us, and we can turn that into something that can help somebody else, somebody feel less alone, or just something beautiful. And that is, when that happens in life, whether it's through music or through helping somebody else that's been through something else, and we may have an experience that we think, oh, well, this is a terrible thing, and I can't forgive myself, or I can't forgive this other person, right? We may have that thought, but then someday we meet somebody that needs that exact experience that we have, and then we realize why we went through such a horrible thing was so that we were able to comfort and help somebody else, maybe even make them smile or laugh.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, and music can be part of that. So whatever it is that we're experiencing, whether it's joy or pain or hard times or something like that, we want to express that in music. And that should be the number one thing when we play. But of course, it's not going to always feel that way. I mean, we have to practice, and practicing isn't always the most joyful experience. But we do that so that we have better tools to express ourselves when we're feeling that way. Good question.
Somebody likes Jason Ricci.
Yeah, okay, Jason, we have so many questions, but today we're mainly focused on like beginner stuff, so harmonica mainly. So many Ukrainians are just starting to play harmonica. It's true. It's really true. And it's small. Harmonica is very small and easy to take with you anywhere. Even during this war, people take it to the bomb shelter during shellings and play it. But it's difficult to learn. What advice do you give to beginners who feel tired or want to give up playing harmonica?
I think maybe if they can find a community, like if they can find other people that are playing, that'll help. And that's, but of course, maybe not everybody can, right? So in that case, I would just remind anybody that anything that's worth learning is going to have a period of difficulty. And anything that's worth, anything that you love, whether it's a relationship with yourself or a higher power or somebody else, right? Your wife or your husband or whatever, that relationship is going to have periods where it's either mundane or it doesn't feel so good, or it's amazing and wonderful and stuff. And we have to remember that a journey with music is a journey, and it's going to have different plot twists along the way. And there's going to be times where we feel like, this isn't really, I don't even want to do this. I don't know why I'm doing this. And then there's going to be other times where like, this is all I want to do in the whole world all the time. And then other times where we're just like, I don't care really one way or the other. So it's very natural to like have these experiences. Just remember that, that's what separates the people that are really going to be in it for a long time, is the ones that they're just going to accept that that's how it's going to be sometimes. And, sometimes you got to push through it. So, anything that is becomes part of us is developed through routine, right? So if there's something that I love, it's something I have to do every day, or I would say almost every day, but I think every day is better. I keep a little sign that says 5 minutes, and that's what I do. Is I always try to play 5 minutes. Now, right, but it's usually 30 or 40 once I start. But I put it there as 5 so that I feel that I can handle 5 minutes. Okay, I can do 5 minutes, big deal. But we have to do it every day. So whether it's the gym or a diet or prayer or meditation or whatever the thing it is, it doesn't matter what I feel like. Whether I feel like practicing or not, that's not the point. It's something that I do every day. And then that becomes something that's fun to talk about with other people. Oh, well, how was your practice, today? What are you working on right now? Oh, well, right now I'm working on, tongue block octaves, but they're not going good at all. Oh, really? Oh, why? Right? Like, so, yeah, okay, well, I don't know. I can get the doubles, but I can't get the triples, and I don't even know why I'm doing it. You know what I mean? This is something that brings us together, is the struggle, right? So that's what we got to go through. It's the struggle.
Thank you. Next question. Philosophy question. You play with a lot of feeling. Do you something play only for yourself? Like a kind of meditation or prayer? What does harmonica mean to you in sad or happy moments?
Can you ask me that question one more time? Thank you.
Yes.
I got most of it, but I missed the very first part.
Oh, okay. You play with a lot of feeling. Do you something play only for yourself?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes, like kind of meditation or prayers. What does harmonica mean to you in sad or happy moments?
Okay. So it's funny because I don't think that when I'm sad or I'm happy that my first thought is ever to pick up a harmonica. I have picked up the harmonica on occasions when I felt like I couldn't handle the world at all. And on those occasions, it has helped me as a distraction. However, that's a lot of pressure to put on an inanimate object. Like, if I'm looking for this to relieve my problems with myself in the world, that's a lot of expectations. And I think in a way that's dangerous because human power fails frequently. It's the same thing as if I were looking, for a human being to make everything okay in my life, right? Or a job to make everything okay in my life, or money, or any of those types of things. It's dangerous. I'm not saying it won't occasionally deliver what it needs to do, but it is a habit, or it is a solution that a potential solution that I try to avoid. I usually do my best playing once whatever emotion that I've had has been processed and realized. So I would say that my best art that comes out of me is the combination of happiness and pain together, the conflict of it, where it's really become one thing. It's not overly exuberant or depressing and sad, or it's neither of those. It's the two are dependent upon each other to exist. So yes, I appreciate that you say that I play with a lot of feeling. I think that if there's one thing that's getting better for me with age, it's that. Because it certainly isn't technique. Because I'm getting a little better, but as you get older, you sort of slow down, and your speed of acquisition kind of drops, and you're also less interested in that because you intuitively realize at a certain age that as important as technique is, and it is, that it ultimately it doesn't always help you to make great art. Okay, so we have to find, it can't hurt you, okay, but it won't necessarily always help you, because there's lots of people that have great technique that I don't care to listen to, and then there are some people who have great technique who I'm blown away by. There are also people that are much less talented in the technical aspect than myself that I often listen to and think, well, they're a better musician than I am. So there are times like, listening to Taj Mahal, who plays in, really one position, and no overblows, not the best bending, ever. And when I listen to Taj, sometimes I often think, well, that's how you do it, So, yeah.
Andrew, and back, what's name your cat?
Oh,
yeah, what cat?
Vester.
Yeah.
Vester. I'll type it out.
Wow.
So I'll tell you this. So this is his name, Vester, right? But it comes from Sylvester. Sylvester.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then we abbreviated it to Vester, and then we added a French accent. So Sylvester,
because
Vester, Vester. Oh, look at that!
Hello.
Is that a Russian blue? Is that a Russian blue?
Scottish.
Scottish blue.
Yeah.
Well, he's Ukrainian.
Yeah. I love.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Her name is Tiffany.
Tiffany. Oh, I love you.
Say hello,
oh my God,
please,
you're amazing. Hi.
This is so beautiful.
We're the
you guys.
same color today. Today we're the same. I'm the same color. as
I don't know, like English, Andrew, lilowy. What's English? Lilowy, I don't know.
So Lilai.
Lilai,
Or-
yes, maybe. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. Next
Color.
question.
Okay. So, Jason, you've taught a lot of your inspirations in lots of interviews. But can you tell us which musicians have you inspired you the most?
Okay.
Who were your teachers on harmonica? And what was the most challenging thing for you about learning how to play the harmonica, both technically and emotionally?
Okay, good question. So practically speaking, like who directly influenced me the most is it started with some of the guys like Alan Wilson and Paul Butterfield and stuff. But then it sort of moved into Little Walter and James Cotton and Junior Wells and George Harmonica Smith were probably the four of my favorites of the older guys. I liked Big Walter Horton, but I've never been a gigantic fan. There are certain songs that Big Walter Horton did that I think are the best harmonica pieces ever recorded. But then there's other pieces of music of his that don't have that effect on me. Whereas when I listen to Little Walter, I really like almost everything that I hear. But Big Walter's kind of hit or miss for me. Like certain stuff, and I really believe that has to do with the amount of alcohol that was consumed. So the when it was not that much, to me, it sounded better. That's what I think, but I don't know. I was a traditional blues freak, and that was all that I was interested in my youth. I had a lot of older men in my life that were pushing me very strongly in that direction, and I listened to them and took what they said to heart, and I did as I was told for a period of time, for like 7 or 8 years. And then I heard Pat Ramsey, and that kind of shocked me a little bit. Like because the stuff that Pat was playing was a lot of it fit the description of what those guys told me not to do, which was like too many notes or playing fast or fancy stuff like Sugar Blue or Popper and that kind of stuff. But at that time, even though I was only 21 or so, I was able to hear that was real music, in that it had an emotional quality, and there was something about Pat as a person that attracted me to him. And I didn't know at the time, but that would become one of the most positive male role models in my life, having nothing to do with music. You know, just the music was the introduction to the man, and then the person himself became a source of wisdom and like really a father figure, not a big brother, a father figure. And I turned to Pat for many crises in my life for advice and solutions. And so then after Pat, it was kind of like there was a lot of influence from the Overblow people, Adam Gusso and Carlos Del Yurko, yeah, and Howard, and of course Howard, and Howard was the one. The album UFO Tofu by Bela Fleck, I had heard that album before, but not listened to it with open ears and an open heart. And when I heard that album, and I was living now, at that time I was living in Florida. So I was around a lot of Latin and jazz culture, like meaning that when I'm walking down the street, I'm hearing that music and eating food that music is influenced by Cuban coffee, Afro-Cuban music, Latin music, jazz music, modern jazz music, bebop, all standards, jazz standards, Ellington. I'm listening to that on the radio, Count Basie, Thelonious Monk, Charlie Parker. I'm starting to listen to this music all the time, right? And then I hear that album and I go, oh, that is really good music. And I don't care what any traditional blues person says. That is amazing. And not just amazing, I feel it. I feel it. And there were certain songs like Seresta off of UFO Tofu that absolutely tugged at my heart with the subtleties and the changes and the maturity and the wisdom of the phrasing and the nuance and the delicate, just the little things that happen in jazz music that often don't happen in blues, where in blues is very beautiful music, full of subtlety and stuff, but often heavy-handed. And this music is much lighter and much... And so anyway, that changed me a lot. And still to this day, I haven't even begun processing how to even play it. But jazz is the central art form that I enjoy as a consumer, as a listener. I don't ever anymore really listen to blues music. When it comes on, I'm happy to hear it. I always am happy to listen to it. But when it's up to me to listen to music, it's going to be Wynton Kelly or Bill Evans or Thelonious Monk or some piano or saxophone or bass player, Mingus or you know what I mean, Charlie Parker, all the time. Like every there's not a week in my life that goes by that I don't listen to Charlie Parker. And it's been that way since my late 20s. And I'm 50 now. So for the last 30 years, and also a lot of classical music, particularly Tchaikovsky and Chopin and Stravinsky and Sibelius and all of that stuff, and the Bach and the Beethoven too. But I love that stuff too, not as much as I love jazz. but yeah.
Але починав з панку. Запитай, Андрій, слухає Джейсон ще панк?
Are you still listening to punk music? Konstantin asks.
Wait, am I still listening to what?
Punk music.
Oh, no, not really. Like, sometimes in the van with the guys, like if in the morning, if I want to get everybody revved up or late at night, like when I want to keep everybody awake and, you know, like that, but that's, or when if I feel like if I'm whoever's driving gets to pick the music. That's the rule. So sometimes I feel like I'm wearing the guys out with, you know, too much Coltrane or Pharoah Sanders or, you know, stuff that's like too intellectual or dissonant or cacophonous. Sometimes then I'll put on like some Ramones to like, you know, to balance it out, you know, or the Pixies or the Breeders or something fun and still interesting, really, really interesting. And oftentimes when I do put that stuff on, I'm like, oh, that's really good stuff. I should listen to more of it. But then I don't, you know, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Next question. What does your usual practice look like? Do you have daily exercises?
Yes. Okay, so, yeah.
So can you give us like an example?
I'm ready. I just picked it up, yeah.
Go ahead, man.
So yesterday, and really the last 2 years, has been all arpeggio stuff. It's been mostly 1, 4, and 5 chords, but also some jazz blues stuff. But so it's been arpeggios that are aimed at the purpose of playing blues or blues jazz. So I haven't worked on all the arpeggios of every chord on one harmonica, which is probably like the difference between me and somebody like Philippe Gers or Konstantin Reinfeldt, who has taken a much more academic approach, which I think is really good, really, really good. But more for myself, I'm like, okay, realistically, this is the music I'm going to play, so these are the chords I'm going to practice this stuff on. And then occasionally I'll have a song that has a new chord in it, so I'll learn how to do that on that chord. Okay, but so if I have a regular blues progression, a 12-bar blues, and I'll pick a type of a chord, a triad, a 6, or a 7th chord. So 6 chord, just because it has 4 notes. Okay, so then what I'll do is then after that, I'll try to walk up in little patterns. 3 notes up, 1 note back, 3 notes up, 1 note back. And then maybe backwards, same thing. And then maybe try to do it not always from the root note. Right, or skipping notes. Backwards. Right, and on and all of that kind of. Then take that same work and do it with with 7th chords. And you can hear how different it sounds with just that one note changed. It really sounds incredibly dissonant. So it's amazing because we use 7s like liberally in blues music. But when you really play just 6s for a while and you hear the 7 in an arpeggio, it's like jarring. It's like, wow, that is really, really dissonant. And so that's really important, is that identification of what these notes do in a chord. And when we take them out of context and play, from a 3rd to a 7, I mean, that harmonica is perfectly in tune. Right? But it sounds horrible here. So that's how powerful notes are. So if I'm just playing them all the time, they lose their value, right? So, but if I isolate them and don't play certain ones at certain times, so then I'll sometimes, like also yesterday, I was doing the same kind of work with scales, like, and right, so the blues scale on 3 different chords.
Yes. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
Чисті ноти, а? Як же
But
це
that's
If
lately.
I'm not,
Yeah, that's just what I'm doing now. But that's been like the last couple of years. And that's really, and then a lot of that with some extra chords. Like with some raised fourth diminished. Right? And 6. Oh. And 2. And 5. Oh, I already did 5. Yeah.
so yeah, Jason, it's amazing. And why I'm hearing myself, by the way? Oh, okay. So yeah, I think that you, Jason, took this like approach from Howard, from one of his books, like this exercise patterns, if I'm not mistaken. And this is like really cool that you turned it to arpeggios and to jazz approach. And now you like use all these jazz chords that you mentioned in blues, like in blues scale, but more jazzier way, which I think I've seen from Philip Jers. Yeah, and he is very cool, and I think he did a great influence on each of us. So, nevertheless, next question. What harmonica techniques or tricks are most important today? What should players learn first to sound more personal and emotional? So, introduce us to some of cool techniques on this instrument, please.
Okay. After years involved in this, I have to say this is one of the things that I think probably Joe Falisco is the most correct about. And Joe puts a really, a gigantic amount of emphasis. I don't even think gigantic is big enough of a word. Paramount, necessary. I can't think on tone. So, I missed some of the last question that was asked, and it comes into this, that like, what am I working on today is also like playing less than I was before, the frequency of notes, making notes sound better, trying to get rid of vibrato and other habits that I find become tiring, not only to me, but to the listener. To me, too much vibrato on every note, it really, really wears me out. Now,
yeah, it's bad.
Right. On one song or something, or a few songs that are like maybe rock and roll or something like that, it's cool. But like, as a lover of modern jazz, I've really grown to appreciate a note being played and either stopped or held with just straight good sound. So I'm sure that everybody who's followed me closely has noticed that in my blues playing, there's a lot more tongue blocking. So when I'm doing those arpeggio things, I'm not really tongue blocking. But a lot of what I'm doing is really paying very close attention to the way the notes sound. So Magic Dick from the Jake Isles band described practicing scales similar to playing a violin, where you So this breath control idea of having this this utter control over the subtleties of the instrument.
Because of
And
breath.
then-
Because of breath. It's a
Because
breath.
right. And no vibrato, right? And so even when I'm playing those arpeggios, I was doing that too, like, right? So I'm really paying attention.
Like the bow on the violin.
Right. So when I'm playing a scale or an arpeggio, oftentimes I really know that stuff really well already. So why am I doing it? Well, yes, it's to reinforce muscle memory. Yes, it's to think about harmonics and how the notes relate to the chords and how does that, that's all true. But the other thing that I'm doing is I'm gauging, how do I sound? Am I weak? Are my bends in tune? Right? Can I improve on that? Do I need to open my mouth up more? Does it sound bigger tongue blocking than it does lip pursing? Right? Can I make the lip pursing sound as big as the tongue blocking? Right? Can I feel as natural? Are my shoulders tensing up? These are all of the questions that I'm asking myself during routine, 5-minute warm-up things that I do. So that's the most important thing as you get older. In the beginning it's the same thing in the beginning that it is in the end. When we look at the best basketball players or the best football players, American football or European football, what Americans call soccer, it's always the fundamentals that even the pros are still working on. And I think that Filisko has always been right about that. That is of paramount importance. Is it doesn't matter what you play if it doesn't sound good. And we've all heard that before. Like, we've heard musicians that were technically brilliant, but there was something about their tone that they didn't like. And that's why so many of us are obsessed with tone. Is, like we listen to a performance that we did, and the way that something was mic'd or the way the sound guy mixed the recording, my computer is full of examples of music that I made that's technically wonderful, but for whatever reason, whether it was my fault or the sound guys, the tone was wrong, so it'll never see YouTube. Or sometimes I'll go, okay, well, you know what? Let me put it up there because the playing's good enough, but I know that the tone is terrible. But like one of my recent videos that I put up of that song Speedo, with Jade, yeah, but I don't like the sound of the harmonica. Like I didn't like the microphone. It's a Beta 58, and that microphone exemplifies high and mid frequencies, and I prefer a regular 58. They didn't have one, so that's what I had to use because I didn't bring my own. And there wasn't enough echo. I didn't like the balance between the guitar and the harmonica. I felt like the harmonica was a little bit too loud, right?
But you still sounded good.
So I put it up.
For me.
I put it up, right? But if it had been a little bit Dre, if it had been a little bit worse, it would have just sat on my computer forever, So yeah, tone. It's just Filisko. I mean, Joe is right. Joe is right about so much stuff, and he's fanatical about it. And I think sometimes that puts people off a little bit. But the thing is that he's usually usually 100% correct. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jason, I think sometimes people playing harmonica, they forget about that music is sound and not like all the techniques.
Right. And like, I don't know how many blues guys that I've listened to that can't do this. Right, that groove, that because all of the other stuff is really filler compared to that. Most people would think that's the filler, but everything is coming out of that. Right, all of the rest is just stuff that goes in there. So all that Fred Below drum influence from Little Walter's band, and we hear Little Walter playing that stuff in the background of his own solos. My 6 blows stuck. So if you listen really, really close, he's constantly vamping off of that bottom. So how so many blues players have missed that is unbelievable. One of the records that I like to point people towards for really important playing like that is Kim Wilson's backing up an artist called Big Jack Johnson. And the name of the record is the Memphis Barbecue Sessions. And it was this black artist from I think he's from the Carolinas. He passed away. I got to play with him a couple times. Big Jack Johnson. And Kim's playing the behind him, when Jack is singing or soloing, is just, I mean, it's just the fundamental essence of the harmonica's role in blues music. And so I just love the way that he does it, and he really gets it. And, you know, some other cats do too, you know, but that example there is real for blues music. That's it. Now, of course, in jazz or rock or funk, you definitely don't want to do that. You know, yeah, but just for straight Chicago blues, yeah. Or
Okay,
Mississippi
next
blues,
question,
yeah.
Так, я заслухався. Jason, you are a very talented teacher, it's true. Your instructional videos on YouTube, on Patreon, Free Friday, today is Friday, and your private lessons help many people. What does teaching mean to you? Why is it important for you to help others play better?
I think everybody should start teaching. And, you know, earlier when we were talking about, you know, when Dre asked the question about what about new players, and I said find a community, right? We should all be trading information. And like oftentimes somebody at the beginning of a journey is a better help to somebody than somebody that's been doing it for 30 years. You know, so if you're interested in cooking, maybe it might be better to find somebody that's been cooking seriously for 6 months instead of somebody that's been doing it for 60 years. Because a lot of times people like me and Howard and stuff, we forget what it was like in the beginning. And, you know, somebody that has just got their first 2 double bend can probably tell somebody else that's struggling with that note probably better maybe than I can, or oftentimes better, because the student is more receptive because they're less intimidated by the instructor. So I think it's important that people teach. I think it's I find a lot of pleasure in watching newer harmonica players making YouTube videos, and particularly when they talk about their harmonica journey. I really like hearing those kinds of things, and I don't do it enough, but when I go to the chat section of my Patreon and I read what the community is talking about amongst itself, is some of the most inspiring stuff that I do. I really got to spend more time in there. I'm just overwhelmed with social media. Is like everybody, it's consuming, and I try to put breaks in the day, and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube take up a lot of my time because they create money, which allows me to continue doing what I do. So sometimes I don't spend enough time, but yes, it's really important for people to teach. What it means to me, also YouTube for me is this very, I would say, mostly funny diary of Jason's evolution from this like extremely opinionated, cocky, self-assured, I'm going to take the world by storm, to this kind of older guy that's like, well, look, I think this is what you should do, but I don't know, So, the age has a way of, Stephen Bruton is a great songwriter from Texas, and he has a song called "Life Will Make a Liar Out of You."
Good quote.
Okay.
So Jason, next question. So I have a friend in Ukraine. He is a harmonica teacher, and he actually met you in 2007 at Bushman World Harmonica Contest, if I'm not mistaken with the name. And he was just like playing some stuff, and back of his screen was jars with pickles, cats walking around, and you wrote to them that can you sell me some? And I love your cats. And then he was like very adored with you, and he asked this question. He asked this question. In Ukraine, we have harmonica teachers. Many students have problems. It's hard to play one single note, or difficulty they have with breathing when there is not enough air on the inhale. So what advice do you give to solve these common problems?
Unfortunately, the best advice I have is to just keep playing. And the body truly will find a way. These fellas, like this new young harmonica player, Kyron, with the big
That's
afro.
My friend.
Yeah. So he's a U blocker. And I don't believe that anybody, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think anybody told him to do that. I think his body found a way to do that. And as far as air, recycling air, that's just a matter of maturity in the amount of hours that you spend with the instrument in your mouth. And again, this is probably might be an example of a beginner being able to give better advice than me, because I really don't have much memory of what that was like. So I can tell you that the most important thing, and that I have said in most of my videos on this subject, is don't blow back into the harmonica for air. So don't play a note, a blow note, because you're full of too many draw notes, or don't play a draw note because you're full of too many blow notes. So Jess, when we look at a saxophone or a trumpet or any other wind instrument in the world, it's all blow. There's no way for them to get air inhaling and make sound. So they play. There's always a rest in music somewhere, right? In most music. So we got to find that place to get rid of the air. And on the harmonica, sometimes that can be an appropriate note, but other times the best thing to do is to just let it go into the ether and just don't do anything. Like, just get rid of the air here. I saw somebody was talking the same subject on Modern Blues Harmonica, and some people were saying, the Facebook page, and some people were saying, well, blow harder on a blow note. Then okay, that'll work. And another person said, blow out of your nose. Right? And that's true too. Like, you'll find a way to do that, to get rid of air out of your nose. But the body just naturally figures that out. But one of the things that maybe the body doesn't figure out is to just take the harmonica away from your face for 1 second, or fraction of a second, or just put the air. You can even make a noise to give it a rhythmic thing, but anything other than that huffy, puffy, very erratic, nervous, tense sound is repulsive to me at this age in my life.
Yeah. And I think when you actually drink tea, and you make like this sound. Yeah. And this like the same stuff. So when hot air leaves our body, we make like this sound. And that's a very cool, like.
Yeah. And sometimes we'll even breathe out of our nose while we're drinking. My glass is fogged up because I was blowing out of my nose while I was inhaling. While I was drinking. So those kinds of things, the body just finds a way. And just keep playing and you'll figure it out. That's all I got, unfortunately.
Kostya, we cannot hear you. Ми тебе не чуємо.
Sorry, my microphone. Two short questions. Jason, do you like cigars? Yeah. Facebook. What's your favorite?
I love this question. I love cigars. Unfortunately, I like buying them almost as much as I like smoking them. So it's become a little bit of a culture thing for me, where it's moved from just the enjoyment of the cigar to a whole community of people that I interact with every day. And I like the harmonica community, I have friends online, some that I've met, but mostly I met them through Instagram or Facebook or something, I got this is a humidor here, this giant thing.
Humidor, yeah.
There's two more here. There's another one right here.
Whoa.
And then there's all these little ones that are stashed everywhere. And so I could probably never buy another cigar and not get through what I have the rest of my life, which bothers me. But but yeah, to me, it's a risk that I'm willing to take. A lot of harmonica players see the cigars and get really upset at me and say, "Oh, well, you're using your lungs," but you don't inhale cigars. It doesn't go into your lungs; it goes into your mouth. That doesn't eliminate the risk. There's still a 3% chance more than an average person of me getting mouth cancer because of that. And that's a risk I'm willing to take. The other risk I'm willing to take is that I'm going to die in a car accident on my way to the gig that I spend, when I'm spending 32 hours in a car driving to shows, 8 hours, I'd say 6 hours on average every single day on tour, right? And some days 32, 48, sometimes 50 hours in the van, that there's a much higher risk of another car coming into our lane and killing everybody in the van, or one of us falling asleep and being wrapped around a telephone pole, that poses a much higher risk than a cigar. and yet nobody tells me, "Oh, well, Jason, you should stop doing gigs so that you can play harmonica long." But the truth of the matter is that I have a much higher chance of dying in a car accident than I do of a cigar. However, it is, we all take chances in life. And I would not take a chance, for example, swimming in the ocean, because I don't like swimming or the ocean as much as I like cigars. Also, I would rather die a slow death by cancer than be eaten by a great white shark in 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, I hope it's a joke and we are not wishing that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Because you are a very talented harmonica player and we want to hear music from you.
I understand. But I also believe that the most illness is caused by stress and anxiety. And if I can when I smoke cigars, I turn the internet off. I take a picture of the cigar in the beginning and in the end. And the rest of the time, if I'm on the internet, I'm listening to jazz, or I'm listening to Lee Mack, or I'm listening to somebody like Joyce Meyer, or some kind of Christian broadcast, or something that's enriching. I'm thinking, I'm taking in my neighborhood, I'm gauging my level of stress and serenity. This is an activity that is calming my spirit. And I think there's a lot of illness that people don't realize, that the medical community doesn't even realize, comes from spiritual unrest and spiritual exhaustion and mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. And if there's something that you can do, whether it's cigars, meditation, or prayer, or all three of those things, taking a walk, running, anything that allows you to focus on what's important in life, family, friends, how am I feeling, my relationship with God, those kinds of things, my relationship with other people. Do I need to apologize to somebody? Have I offended somebody in some way? Those are the kinds of things that I feel when I'm sitting and having a cigar in total silence or in a moment of peace. I don't know that there are very many people that have a practice that lasts an hour and a half every day, where they gauge, how is my life going? And so I think that it's much more than tobacco to me.
Okay.
I told you I like the question too much.
Time. We have time, Andrew.
Yes,
Yes.
we have.
Okay. Question from Konstantin Kolesnichenko today with тебе.
Okay, so Konstantin Kolesnichenko asked some questions. We picked and choose some of them because they were fancy, and I think he can ask you personally, like in the on Facebook. But these questions were cool, so we would ask. Harmonica is a fairly niche instrument, and success and recognition are difficult to achieve on it. Have you ever had the desire to start learning playing another instrument? If so, how did you deal with it? What made you to continue playing the harmonica?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not surprised that he asked that question. He's a great, great player. I've admired his contribution to music since I don't know how long. It's been at least 15 years, I think, that I've been, excited about what I've heard coming out of that particular artist. His admiration for Dennis Grunling and the way that he's taken some of Dennis's ideas and made them sort of his own, I've been a big fan of for a while. Yes, the answer is yes. Before I discovered overblows, I wanted to give up the harmonica because honestly, I really can't play an instrument that I can't play a melody that I'm hearing, right? And, I know that harmonica is not perfect for that. And there's very few people really in the world that can play any melody convincingly on the harmonica. Very few people. But I'm okay today with being able to play 80% of what I hear with a lot of practice. And I recognize that the harmonica is an easy instrument to learn, but it could be the very hardest to play at a high level, meaning classical, jazz, that kind of stuff. I'm okay with that today. But there was a period of time before I recognized that overblows could sound okay, right? Maybe same as bends. Bends can sound okay, right? But they're never going to be perfect. Okay, always, right? So I've accepted that, and I'm okay with staying on this instrument. But yeah, I bought a saxophone. I tried to learn it for a little while, and then it wasn't that I gave up on saxophone or that saxophone was too hard. It's that my time was more valuable on this instrument because I had already invested so much into it that once I learned how to overblow, I was off to the races.
Okay, second question from Konstantin Kolesnichenko.
We're okay to go
Yes.
over too. We're okay to go as long as you guys want. I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Super.
Thank you.
Jason, do you work on your vocals? How often do you work on it? And how does it affect your harmonica playing?
Not enough.
Enough.
Sometimes I live with a singer that's a good singer, and you would think that would make me a better singer, but it doesn't. It makes me self-conscious because she's good and because singing comes naturally to her, which it doesn't to me.
So yeah, you're Jason, for instance, you're talking about Caitlin, your wife.
Yeah.
So we know.
Right. And also like being around JJ too. Like,
JJ.
so being around them helps me to be a better singer. But the most important thing with anything is practice. And I don't like practicing in front of people that are good singers because I feel self-conscious. And I need to get over that, just like anybody does. And that's all ego and bullshit. And, the voice is such a personal thing that, when you play something bad on harmonica or something good that somebody else doesn't like, it's easy to go, well, I don't care. But when somebody says you have a bad voice, that feels like you are not good. To me, that's what my mind goes. So it's funny because the more you practice anything, the better you get. And I used to think that you were either a good singer or you weren't. And that's not true. You need to practice it every day the same way that you practice anything else. So over the years, there are certain songs that I've been singing long enough that they're getting better, because unfortunately though, the practice is happening on stage and not in private. And the other thing is, my wife doesn't drive, so she's always at the house. So when she leaves, I really sing a lot. and I practice where I can sound like an idiot and nobody can hear me, and I'm happy with that. But when she's around, I can often hear her walking by, or I see her in the background, and or she'll say something to me like, "Oh, you should do this," and it makes me mad. I go, "No, like, leave me alone. Like, like, let me just figure it out on my own." And so anyway, that's a problem for me, right? It's not her problem, it's my problem. And yeah, recently there's somebody on YouTube, I can't remember her name, but has been going to all of my videos and writing, well, he's a good harmonica player, but he needs to stop singing, right? This one person has been writing it on all of my videos. And yeah, it bothers me. It gets to me. Particularly, she's writing it on songs that I sang well. So I'm like, if you don't like this, you really wouldn't like the other stuff, because this is best I could do. So yeah.
Jason, I would encourage you. You have a good voice. It's just a matter of practice, man. Because the teacher, harmonica teacher Sasha, that I was talking about, like a story back in 2007, he said you have a great, like, distorted voice and raspy like voice. So it's like the matter of people's opinions. So don't bother, basically.
Right. I mean, but I just need to practice. That's what it is. And it's on me. It's on me. It's not on anybody else. It's not Caitlin's fault. It's not JJ's fault. I will say this. The one thing that I have learned the most from Caitlin and JJ is finding a key, or keys plural, where your range is really effective. So that has been a game changer for me. Learning that, there's certain keys, E and C, that I can really, really sing well in. D, E, that I've just felt. And that's been a big, big, big help for me.
Today I listened to album Rocket Number 9, and for me it's like a fire, expressive, so and behind the veil, and it's a genesis. I mean, deeper and confident, so good. I think so good now. Confident. It's very cool.
That makes me so happy to hear that. I mean, so much of my career has been the focus is on that younger Jason that played so fast and was punk and skinny and flamboyant. And to me, I love those records too, but they're not mature. There's a growth that has happened over the years. Unfortunately, the better we get at something, the less of an audience we really have, almost, right? Like the people that garner the most attention are the people that appeal to histrionics and theatrics and this kind of stuff. And as we mature in an art form, like jazz, for example, is one of the least listened to types of music in the world. However, it is my opinion that it is one of the most advanced and beautiful arts that there is, period. In my opinion, it is the most beautiful form of expression musically that's ever existed. So for example, also, like, I think that probably, maybe, I don't know if this is true, but more people know who John Popper is or Bob Dylan than who know who Howard Levy is. Maybe more people know who Ronnie Shellist is than Howard Levy, or one of these guys from the YouTube that, like, who am I thinking of? I'm drawing a blank right now. Liam Ward, or right. More people know who Liam is than Howard Levy, because of social media, because of beginner types of things. And it's the same in the cigar world. You know, that the better the cigar is, the smaller the audience of people that are able to recognize how much better that is, because it's nuanced, it's subtle. And when people see things, they see things that are big and explosive and exciting. So to hear you say that you've tracked a difference in Behind the Veil compared to Rocket Number 9, that you see an improvement, means the world to me. Because to me, the improvement is artistic. It has nothing to do with technique. I mean, I'd say there's more technique on that, but there's less speed and less ferocity. There's less anger. There's less unresolved issues. Yeah, it's a dissonance. Yeah.
Rocket Number 9, the best. My favorite album. All Harpers. Andrew, question. May I? Important question.
Yeah. I can ask Jason like one super question.
Oh.
Which out of the box harmonica models would you recommend for beginners, and which ones for advanced players?
Great question. So I have not tried any of the JDR stuff yet. Very few of the Kongshangs. Okay. I don't like side L, simply because of the distance between the reeds. It's just like that much. In the harmonica is like this much longer than a regular harmonica, which shouldn't be a big issue. And it wouldn't be if I were to spend, 6 months or something on the instrument. I would adjust, but I don't like it. So I can't give the best recommendation because I haven't experienced everything that's on the market right now. But I would say for a beginner, the Hohner Special 20 or Rocket amp with the plastic comb that's comfortable to the mouth, that with the closed sides, that lint can't get in, and dirt can't get into the side of the harmonica, that something like that is probably better. It's going to work more frequently with less issues. It's going to be comfortable to the mouth, and something that the player it has a more mellow kind of tone, which I think is nice. I prefer the non-vented covers, but for a more advanced player, I still believe that the Hohner crossover is the best harmonica on the market today. Overall, like I know that there are reports that the JDR is set up better. I know that JDR is doing things for overblowing with putting things on the reeds, little pieces of rubber and plastic to prevent torque and hissing issues that can happen on overblows and even on bends. And that Hohner has not caught up with that yet. I understand that. However, with a little bit of tweaking, I still think that the crossover sounds the best. And a lot of it to me has nothing to do with the way it sounds, but the way that it vibrates and feels in my mouth. And I really have my doubt. It's not an informed doubt, but I have a doubt that the JDR with the plastic cover plates and plastic combs in these, and I know not all of the JDRs have that, but that it can deliver that same vibration that I've come to become used to. I really enjoyed the time period that I spent with Suzuki. I think that the Manji harmonica is exceptional. I really do. There are many days when I miss the very thick, strong sound of phosphorus bronze that the Manji was, and the Manji took a lot more work as a customizer to make it playable than a Hohner. It was a little bit slower. I couldn't play quite as easily as fast. I had to work a little harder to play fast. I think that was good for me. Now that I'm back with Hohner again, I got to say that I'm happier. I just am. I just have to do less work to make the harmonicas sound the way I want them to do. They vibrate amazingly. My favorite thing is a crossover with Rocket amp or Special 20 covers, same as Howard uses. But I still keep harmonicas with regular marine band things for certain songs, particularly blues. The treble and the bright sound of it, I enjoy. I find that the closed cover plates often cause reeds to stick more. Like when you're playing, if you play too hard, the air doesn't have anywhere to go, and it'll stick. Whereas with the vented cover plates, you can play a little harder and still have really tight action. So overblows are less likely to stick. Regular blow notes are less likely to stick. You can have the 7 draw set up for a 7 overdraw, and the 7 draw still works more often on a vented cover plate. That's just my opinion. I that over the years, that's what I think is true. But I do prefer the sound of the closed, the non-vented thing. It's so here, like there's 2.
Yeah, you can show us.
Yeah. So
That would be amazing.
This one is by Joel Anderson, who I love. You know, I most of my harps are from Tom Halchek or myself, but I have a few harmonicas from Joel Anderson. But like if I was playing a blues, I like the way that sounds better than this. But if I'm playing,
yeah, not enough highs.
I like when I'm playing like pretty kind of stuff, I prefer that over this. They're both really nice. I would like to keep one of each if I could, but I don't have that many.
Jason, what about your opinion about GDR Trochilus? Not
Trochilus.
Trochilus.
Oh, yeah.
This
So
violin.
I don't know. To me, the jury is still out. looking at the instrument. Okay, it's really hard. Let me preface this by saying that there is probably a fair degree of fear that is informing my opinion. Okay, so that where's that fear based? It's based on the fact that I've dedicated my life to becoming an overblower. And the idea that somebody can push a button and get that note and it still sounds like a diatonic the rest of the time, probably on some level scares
Well,
me.
but you can play overblows and overbends on trocheles as well.
No, I know that.
No problem.
I know that, right? But but here's what I'm saying is that my opinion that I'm about to give you is probably informed with some kind of ego or fear that even as I consciously say that, I'm saying that because I think that subconsciously that's what's going on. And I think I've identified that. But looking at the instrument as somebody that's been playing harmonica for 40 years, okay, or near that, like 30, 37, 38 years, it doesn't look right. A mouthpiece is a bad idea on harmonica, like in general. Okay, like chromatic harmonica can sound very good. It can. Stevie Wonder, Philippe Jers, William Gallison, Larry Adler, plenty of other chromatic players.
Many Asian players.
But however, oftentimes, it's an instrument I really don't care for the sound of, and I find myself frequently when listening to it turning the volume knob down when the musician goes to the higher notes. Whereas on diatonic, I don't hear that problem. I've also really grown to love the sound of bend. That sound right there, that I really enjoy that. And so anyway, that mouthpiece that comes off, so far, I haven't heard anybody play it with great tone. So, I mean, so far, I've heard acceptable tone, but it still sounds to me like a little bit of like there's a disconnect. Same thing with the XB40, the Hohner harmonica that bent on all notes. There was that mouthpiece. I mean, I would argue that the Special 20 has just the tiny recessed combs. That a recessed comb causes a separation, right, between the artist and the reed. But again, this may be a fear-induced belief system, but I haven't really heard great tone out of the instrument that yet. So until somebody comes along, and plays the thing like Kim Wilson and makes it really sound like big, on bend notes and on overblows, I don't see a reason to play it.
Yeah.
That's for me.
I think actually.
Yeah.
I think actually Konstantin Kolesnichenko played it on his YouTube channel, like some jazz stuff, and it was very cool. So for like everybody, each instrument is like more of a choice.
I can't imagine Jason with trocheles because Jason can play overblows the best. Okay.
He can, yeah.
But let me say though, if anybody could play it with good tone, it's Konstantin, right? Or Dennis Grunling, because they play chromatic with such big tone, right? But like the other thing too is like people need to play it amplified, and like Philippe Jers if you're listening, bro, man,
Yes.
please, bro, please start playing some jazz amplified. Like you don't need a ton of distortion, but just get a good tone. Like honestly, bro, like I probably shouldn't say this, but like even Howard could really benefit from like talking to a blues player about how to get a really good tone and out of an amp, and then playing some of that jazz through an amp with not with a ton of distortion, but just a little bit. But like I know that Howard uses amplified tone on his recordings, but it's often very digital sounding. Okay. And like I would just love to hear, this is what I want more than anything. My one wish before I die is a diatonic jazz album from Philippe Gers that has some amplified harmonica on it. That's all I want. I'd be great. It'd be great if Constantine did one too. But what I would really like is for Philippe Gers, please, brother, for me, for the world, for everybody, one good sounding. You just do some simple jazz, some modal blues jazz with just nothing crazy, right? No like you know, you don't have to play like Wise One off of Love Supreme or anything like that, but why not? If you want to do, but anyway, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I need.
I think
excited about harmonica.
We all agree. We all agree and support Jason with this because
what's with these
this
jazz
would be
players?
amazing.
All these jazz players, everything's acoustic. Everything. Like, come on. Right? Like it sounds great amplified and you know it. So, you know, like my tone amplified, it's not that distorted anymore, right? It's really very clean. When you listen to like, I'm playing through a twin now, which is basically like a PA system, right? And I change the amount of distortion on my pedals. So some songs are pretty distorted, but most of them sound almost exactly like acoustic, just more well-rounded. And I think the trotulus would be another example of an instrument that would sound fabulous through an amp. It's same with chromatic. Like imagine if Toots Thielmans had plugged into an amp one time in his entire life and played a killer solo with some tongue blocking octaves and stuff. Look at what William Clark did for chromatic, right? Like I know that he got it from George Smith and all that, but he took it to like another level for blues chromatic. Or what Dennis Grunling now is playing on chromatic harmonica. It's unbelievable and it sounds amazing because they're playing amplified with tongue block octaves. The mouthpiece doesn't matter because it's this gigantic sound. All right. And a lot of that has to do with the amp. So I wish they would do that. I'm very frustrated with the jazz harmonica world trying to be so pure. I think that they're like, they want to show up to the gig. I think they want to be like a horn player and say, oh, I just play through a mic like you guys. And
actually, that's a reason maybe.
Yeah. And just show up with an amp. Show up with an amp, and you don't have to play it every song, but I promise you the horn players will like it. You know, stop being a weirdo. Yeah.
I mean, jazz harmonica needs a revolution because it was like a revolution for blues people to play overblows. Maybe jazz harmonica needs like something with microphones.
Yeah.
And amplifiers and so on.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like I like Howard's tone on Sinister Minister and on some of the other stuff that he used amplification but I know for a fact, well, mostly that what he did was they used a studio effect after he played and applied it to the sound. But I imagine if Howard explored the tonal options of amplification and maybe even pedals, sort of the way that Chris McCulloch did. So when we lost Chris Michaelic, when we lost Chris, we lost a gigantic force in the jazz harmonica movement. And it was a devastating loss that cannot be measured to this day, because that was a free thinker right there. And for all of the problems, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chris Michaelic, the Buddha, but he was a very aggressive person sometimes. And he could be very mean too, but he was also
why they call him Buddha actually, if he's like aggressive? I don't know.
I think he was like Robin Hood. He was only aggressive to bullies.
Okay.
Andrew, may I ask important question? Yeah.
Yes.
Jason, we haven't panacea and simple decision, but what advice would you give to people trying to overcome alcohol addiction?
And any addiction, actually.
So, I mean, it depends on the individual. Okay. So there's no one answer to this issue. So for the first thing I would say is for anybody is ask a lot of questions and accept that the solution that some people are providing for you might not be the solution that works at that time in your life, but it might be later. So remain open. For example, somebody who has a problem with alcohol might be told that they have to quit marijuana and cigarettes and Valium or any kind of benzo in order to be sober. Okay. So that might be so much that person can't quit alcohol because they're unwilling to give up marijuana and everything. So I think today in my life, not for me, but for other people, that's okay. That like if they need to smoke weed or pot for a little while or forever to reduce the drug, whether it's heroin or crack or alcohol, that's causing problems in their life, that's okay. So this is known as the harm reduction movement. And I'm a gigantic proponent of it because I believe after, look, I started trying to get sober in 1998 at 24 years old. And today I'm 6 years sober. So I've had a combined total of 20 years of sobriety, just not consecutively. Now, the reason that I'm still here is because there were people in my life that were non-judgmental at certain times when I was using again, or when I was only going to smoke pot, and they would say to me, listen, we would rather you didn't do anything, but if you're going to do something, let's figure out how you can do it safe. So let's get you clean needles. Let's get you Narcan. Or if you're going to smoke pot only, okay, let's talk about what that's going to look like. Okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do that? What's the appropriate amount, right? Like this kind of thing. What kinds of pot are going to affect you differently? Those kinds of things. I think it's important to keep people alive. Now, for people that are like me, that have been around a while and have experienced a problem with every single type of substance, mind alter. So what I'm saying is that every time I've smoked pot, even though it wasn't as harmful as crack or heroin or alcohol, it still became the central focus of my life. In other words, when I woke up in the morning, the first thing that I thought about was smoking pot. And if the pot ran out or I didn't have any more, the only thing that I was focused on at that time was getting more. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, that's a real problem. So that it didn't work for me. So what I was saying earlier, when you guys asked me the question, would the harmonica help me in times of happiness and sadness? Yes. And I said that it's it's too much pressure on the harmonica. The same thing is true with addiction. That when I use drugs and alcohol, I'll just talk about me instead of talking about somebody else. When I use drugs or alcohol, the drugs and alcohol are the solution to every single problem in my life. Okay, they no longer effectively provide that solution for me. At one time, it did, and then it stopped. The harmonica at one time did that, and then it stopped. My career at one time did that, then it stopped. Caitlin at one time did that, and it stopped. For me, only me, not anybody else in the world, unless they identify, the only solution that I have found that can bring me contentness or some kind of acceptance is the forgiveness and the love of Jesus Christ, or a God of my understanding. Okay. And I differ from many other Christians in that I don't judge anybody else for what they find. Okay. I don't. I know what works for me, and I'm okay with that. Okay. And why I will always be bold about what it is that has worked for me. I will never push that on somebody else, nor would I push sobriety on somebody else. I will tell you what happened to me, and that drugs and alcohol became they were not my problem. They were my solution. The problem was me. The problem for me was my relationship with God. Once I fixed that, once I received the forgiveness and the love, and continue to practice trying to receive and accept the forgiveness, the compassion, and the love that came to me through Jesus Christ, that is when, only then, everything in my life started to work a little bit better. Because when I decide that money or ambition or an award or internet views or likes on a Facebook post or a negative comment or a positive comment, when I decide that that is what defines me as a person, I'm always going to be let down. However, I have never been let down once I said, you know what, my ideas aren't really working for me. What I think, when I get what I want, I just want more of it, or I'm not happy. So why don't I try better to accept what God's will is for me, instead of deciding that I know what's good for me and what's good for everybody else. So that has been for me, the journey with addiction has actually less to do with substance abuse and more to do with me wanting to control the world. And once I relinquish that control over the world, I find a sense of ease and comfort that I have to work on daily, just like the practice, and with people, and talking to God's children like Andriy, and sometimes arguing, sometimes debating, sometimes, like I said, relationships going up and down. And sometimes we're not going to agree on things, especially on things that are really important, like life and death and God and politics and these types of things that directly affect us. But we have to remember that love and compassion and understanding are always the highest form of understanding that we can possibly display in our behavior. And that if we want to be positive examples, we need to exude kindness and love and acceptance in anything, whether that's towards an addict or somebody struggling with mental illness or somebody that differs on our opinions on politics. I don't care.
Yeah, Jason, that
Take.
I agree on what you said, that the world will know us by the love of God. So, by the love that Jesus did on the cross, that he is the way, the truth, and the life. So, if you put Jesus on the first place in your life, as it's written, if you get closer to God, the devil will run away. So, yeah.
It's true. For me, that has been true. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
For me, that has been true. I can see in your face more peace and calmness than I did 2 years ago. And you know, that's all I got.
Okay.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're
And we should be happy. And we should be happy. You're beautiful as well. You're a beautiful child of God, and Constantine is beautiful.
right. Yeah, but
Yep.
just remember that wherever you are in your life, it's okay. But just try to stay alive, right? And be safe and try to find people that understand you. And there's always time to change your opinion later or figure things out. Try not to hold on to one idea too strong. Always be willing to accept that things may change, that we may later get a greater understanding or a 360-degree perspective that we didn't see earlier. So that's what I try to retain, some humility all the time, that I don't know everything.
Next question, Andrew, please.
Yes, we have a very important question for you, Jason. So listen closely. We have our harmonica community, and each week we have a challenge. So, like a week's challenge, and the week before we played Beatles songs on harmonica. First challenge was Boogie in G major, and we played Reggae challenge. And this time we played like a train song on harmonica. So, chugging, yeah. And what would you recommend for our community as a challenge? So, for example, like playing on two harmonicas, playing on upside down harmonica, like
Jason
Paul
sounds
Osher
terrible.
did, like Ukrainian folk song, so anything like higher octave challenge.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Higher octave one's a good one. That's great. You guys are doing that. We had a small club in Nashville when I lived in Nashville. It was a private club. It was me and a few other guys, really famous harmonica players, and we would meet on every Tuesday, and we would listen to records, and we would challenge each other. So, like, if somebody didn't play chromatic, they would have to play chromatic for the whole night, right? And then, or somebody didn't play the top octave, that one person would only be able to play in the top octave, right? So we had a lot of fun with that. And it's really good. It's really good to do that. I think you guys are amazing for that. I like the higher octave idea. I think a challenge of only using a few notes, like 3 notes for improvising. Not one other note would be another good one. A gypsy jazz challenge, right? That maybe included like, yeah. Just a gypsy jazz would be good, you know. You could even do an arpeggio. So only 4 notes per chord are allowed, right? Or something like that. Like, I love the idea of limitation, right? I find that in my life,
Actually, Jason, we did one challenge, like before it was like officially like week challenge every week. So I and Alexander organized it, and still are organizing these challenges. And that challenge was on playing only on the second hole blues. And this was amazing. Like,
that's amazing.
Even some people Some people even person even used two-hole overblow. It was cool.
That is great. Yeah, what note is that? So is that is a minor third? That gives you a right. Yeah. All right. That's
wait, not if you're talking about like what position?
Oh no, it's
so
not
it's
a minor
like
third. Yeah, it's a minor third above. Yeah, it would be a minor third above the two below. Wait, so what
it
would
will be the second.
Yeah, that's
Just
two.
the second.
Right. That's but that's a useful note in a blues. But
Yeah,
okay.
and it was very cool because it was sounding perfect in fifth position for all the notes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think a lot of freedom comes from restriction. I think as we get older or we just get, more experienced, we find that a lot of times making sacrifices and cutting things out of our life gives us actually more freedom than doing whatever we want. There are certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As I grow spiritually, I find myself wanting less and less to do certain things that I used to think would make me happy. Eating or sex or pornography or talking. Yeah.
Okay.
Gossip.
Thank you so much.
Gossip's a big one. I don't like to gossip anymore.
That's amazing. That's like you're like a new person in Christ.
Basically. I'm just starting, bro. I'm still a mess. Totally.
Ну що,
But yes, thank you.
щось зіграти нам.
Okay. We also want to ask you to play something for our Ukrainian community. Any song you like, basically.
All right.
What's on your heart?
I'll play my favorite song. It's a Mardi Gras Indian song. I totally recommend people look up the Mardi Gras Indians and the challenges that community has faced, which is the Black community from New Orleans, and their history and their journey out of slavery and Jim Crow oppression and modern day oppression, and how they have culturally adapted and made something beautiful out of the hardest times. And this is a sacred Mardi Gras Indian song that I have permission to play from two different Mardi Gras Indians from two different tribes, the Golden Eagles and the Wild Wild West Mardi Gras Indian tribes. Okay. So here we go. My Indian Red is the name of the number. There it is. Something like that.
Bravo, bravo,
Thank you.
bravo. That was amazing performance. Konstantin, we
Thank you
microphone.
very much. So
Yes.
cool, so cool. Да, друзі, хто нас дивиться, якщо було не чутно, я потім дам посилання. Джейсон також давав інтерв'ю, там, де, можливо, ми звук з Ендрю перевіряли, все було добре, але якщо щось не так зі звуком, то ми все виправимо, дамо посилання, де Джейсон грає цю ж саму річ. Джейсон, thank you so much, and what would you like to say to Ukrainians and Ukrainian harmonica player right now? Before we love you, but we're in war.
To all of my Ukrainian friends, I have nothing to say other than I cannot believe the amount of resilience and hope that you have displayed in a situation that I am entirely unable to comprehend. I speak with Dre and Tanya sometimes on this subject. They're the only two Ukrainians that I've ever had conversations with online. And I can't fathom what it is that you guys are dealing with right now. The uncertainty, the limiting of electricity, the loss of life, the loss of historical sites, the invasion into your country. I can't imagine it. So I just say I'm inspired by you. This is an uncertain time in our country as well. Not anything like what you are going through, but it gives me hope when I see you guys that people are much more resilient than we think. And I think that the Ukraine has demonstrated that. And the people that I know, that I have met, who are posting beautiful and positive things, who are finding love in music and in God and in their relationships, who have decided to fight, who made any decision, whether it be to find peace within themselves in order to effect a change, or whether it be to fight. I have no judgment on that. I don't know. What I know is that I'm inspired by everybody. And I don't understand politics. I don't. But I do know that I think there's something wrong when we go and attack somebody else, no matter what. And for Ukrainian harmonica players, this is why I do this today. I don't want money. I don't want any money from this. This is not something I don't, if there's, I don't even remember if we agreed on money. If there is money, I don't want it. You put it back to whatever it is that you guys are doing, whether it's the Harmonica Club or whatever charity you want to. It's the least I can do is give back to this community right now that is going through so much and for so much longer than anybody could have imagined. And just the resilience of the community. And I just want to say, as another person from the United States, I don't know what's going on. And but I do know how you guys have responded. And it's very admirable. And that's it.
Thank you. Microphone. Yeah.
Sorry, thank you, Jason, for your words, for your time, for your music, firstly. Thank you. Ми переможемо. Ендрю, тобі заключні слова і відпускаємо Джейсона.
Jason, thank you so much. You helped us a lot. You helped me a lot, and your heart is with us because your heart is very pure and merciful. And that's the most important, that people have love, then there would be no war. But we have to be strong, and I wish you to be strong
Thank you. Me
right
too.
at that moment.
I-
And
Also, my wife loves you, just so you know.
Thank you, Jason. Subscribe Jason Ricci YouTube channel and its channel. Гармоніка дарує щастя, гармоніка дарує гармонію. Harmonica makes people happy. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Hey, when does this come out? When will this
коли
be?
вийде інтерв'ю?
I think today evening.
Ooh, exciting.
Yes.
I will share it everywhere. I had a wonderful time with you boys. I really did. This is the best interview I've ever done on harmonica, ever. Best questions.
Thank you.
Thank
They
you
were
very
so
much.
fun. It was the best balance. Both of you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I could have stayed here all day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Jason, so much. Bye.